right, hey everyone, welcome to the stream. We are doing actually a couple of back-to-back lessons today. But first up, I'm going to be working with Tali here, aka Thaliwastaken. How's it going, my friend, today? How's it going?
Going good. Going good.
Nice.
I did some puzzles today.
Some puzzles, good. I'm glad you're feeling warmed up. Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be cool. Tali's, of course, big fan of the stream, and you earned your one-on-one lesson with the 100K Dojo Gold. Did you do a lot of betting to get to 100K or just watching?
Yeah, I did a lot of betting.
Nice, you made it. You made it the smart way. Work smarter, not harder. Nice. Well, cool. Let's talk a little bit about your chess. You mentioned you're 13 years old. Your online rating is about 1800. And you were just saying you've played some USCF tournaments already, and your USCF rating is about 1100. Right, but of course you haven't had a chance to play a lot during the pandemic in person. But it sounds like you've been playing a lot online. Is that right?
Yeah, I've been playing a lot. I sometimes play games a lot. Sometimes I do puzzles for a period of time, but I play. I haven't taken like a break from when I started again like 5 months ago.
Cool. When was that? When did you start again?
That was January.
Oh, January. So since then you've been pretty active.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Very cool. Okay, so today we're just going to be working on your chess, to put it simply. I'm just going to put a position on the board. I'll have you think, 1 or 2 minutes, however long you want, actually, and then we'll just talk about your thoughts and go from there. Sounds good?
Yeah, sounds amazing.
Oh, sweet. All right. Oh, by the way, do you have any plans to play any future over the board tournaments?
Well, I mean, I do want to play, but I haven't found one specific one. But yeah, no, I'm completely preparing to play on the board.
Cool.
That's what I'm.
Yeah. So no specific plans yet, but that's the idea. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. Awesome. Okay, let me put our first position on the board. Just gonna clear it here and put some pieces. It's going to be white to move. White gets a bunch of pawns. Now let me ask you, what do you think you have the most to work on in terms of your chess?
That's actually a pretty hard question for me to answer. I think I'm pretty good at tactics. I think I do have to learn a bit of openings, but I think I'm pretty good with that too. One main one is endgames, and I also want to work on calculation and not blundering.
Sure, fair enough. Now I looked at your online games a bit. This is the position, by the way, so you can start thinking a little bit about what you would play here as white. And so I saw you're playing a mix of stuff, a lot of 10-minute chess, and then some like blitz and bullet as well. But quite a few 10-minute games. Is that like your main time control that you're playing?
Yeah, that's the main one. The other ones are mostly for fun with friends.
Right. Yeah, totally fine. And yeah, for those of you in the chat, you can feel free to think about the position as well as to what you guys would do here as white. So yeah, of course, 10 minutes is still like pretty quick, compared to like when you played over the board. What time control was that?
I played one tournament, which was the state one,
Mm-hmm.
when it was 90 minutes plus 30 seconds of each move.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but the main one was 25 and 5 to 25 minutes.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Like the pretty much like the fastest time controls you'll see in person is like 25 minutes, kind of like rapid chess. And but a lot of the big open tournaments are going to be longer. Like you have 90 minutes, 2 hours for the game, so quite some time. So compared to that, rapid chess, feels very very quick. And of course, in I would say the issue in rapid is that you simply don't have a lot of time to calculate. Like if you spend 2 minutes on every move, you'll flag before move 10. So it's like you have to be pretty quick. Okay, let me let you think for a sec here, and you can think out loud if you'd like, or just take your time. I might mute myself in Zoom just if there's like a question in chat, I can respond. But yeah, you let me know whenever you're ready. Oh, white needs a king, huh? I'm sorry, king on g1.
Oh, okay, I'll think up now, I guess. Okay, so in this one, there is two moves I'm thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a4, which a4 I like because then knight d4 is the only move.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that is the only move. And then knight d4, and then bishop takes, and pawn kind of has to take,
Mm-hmm.
and rook takes, just looks nice. You gain a pawn, obviously. Other than that, to maintain some pressure, there is bishop c5. So if queen takes your pawn, you do have some pressure then. Even like something like queen takes b5, and then knight takes and bishop takes queen. Of course, that doesn't look too good, but when you have those ideas, you know that there's some pressure in the position.
Sure.
So bishop c5 does look good. Um,
Oh, by the way, do you have the chat open?
no.
Good, good. Yeah, leave it closed because people will be submitting answers and stuff. So, yeah, I want you to not be distracted by that.
Oh yeah, I have the stream open, but I don't really look at chat.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, after a4, if you play a4, knight d4. Okay, so again, those two moves are the ones I like most.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop d5, bishop c5, and a4. After a4, I like that a lot because bishop takes, e takes, and then um, even something like e5 there.
Mm-hmm.
So a5 you obviously can't take back because of the knight takes and you take the rook. And actually e5 looks really good because e5 you have to move the knight somewhere, and then e6. So I would, what is he countering? Like you have to lose a knight, I think. So again, a4, knight d4, bishop takes, e takes, e5, attacking the knight. And is there a place that I can move where it attacks something? No. Let's say like knight f5 and then e6 wins the rook. I think that's the main thing in the position. Yeah, so I think I'm done.
Okay, cool. You play a4.
Can you say that again?
You would play a4. That would be your move.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, go ahead. Let's make it on the board.
Do I play the move?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So a4, the only move to save it is knight d4. And then bishop takes,
Mm-hmm.
e takes, e5, this, and e6.
e6. Yeah, it looks good. Very good. Very nice. Yeah, well done. I mean, you basically nailed it. Oops, I didn't have legal moves on. Let me bring it back to the position. Oops, let me, this one. There we go. So yeah, absolutely. Actually, real quick, thanks for the raid from Angelica Chessborn. Much appreciated. We're just getting started here with a one-on-one lesson that everyone is welcome to listen to. And yeah, I think you quickly realize this move a4 is interesting because knight is kind of low on squares and basically has to play knight d4. And when we see like kind of very forcing opportunity, it makes sense to calculate it first because if it works, if it leads to advantage, it's like you really don't have to look at much of anything else. And then if it doesn't work, and then you can consider moves like bishop c5, just reasonable positional moves, you know, trying to improve your position. But you correctly sniffed out that knight d4 takes. Now your first thought you mentioned was rook takes d4, but then you eventually kind of returned to this position and started looking for other options, which is a very good thing to be doing in chess. And in fact, even if, let's say in a game, this was your idea, like this is what you wanted, it would be very important to just pause at this position and just make sure, you know, confirm that that's still what you think is best. Because maybe you didn't see e5 before, but once you reach this position, maybe you might notice e5 now. And then I think as soon as you saw it, I mean, it was like 10 seconds and you realized, oh wait, this is actually very strong and just winning material. So in many cases, it's just about, let's say, noticing the option, and then your brain just takes over and just calculates the rest very simply. e6, knight e5, and so on. Okay, from Black's point of view, let's just quickly ask the question, what do you think would be the best defense for black to try to survive.
Um, um, I mean, there isn't something that saves it, I think. Some way of giving up the knight when you gain the 2 pawns. So something. I was thinking about king h8 maybe, but that obviously doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to give up the knight, you could at least take this pawn first, just so it's not hanging over you, and then something like takes, maybe taking back. But yeah, extra piece, you know, very, very few saving chances here, of course. What about, let's say, just taking on e5?
Yeah, I guess that's a good one. But then there's knight takes e5.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the best defense? Probably queen f5.
Okay. Let's take a look. So I guess white takes on f7.
Yeah. And here. I think knight takes is better.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not possible to play e8 very soon.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's a defender of e8.
Right. Well, let's go back a second. Let's go to this position. So we know white wants to take on f7 next. So do we want to go queen f5, or do we want to just...
Well, I guess we can take the pawn.
Yeah. Yeah, just take this one off. Again, because it's going to be kind of a headache to leave it on the board. And let's say white goes knight takes f7. And now we would have kind of big decision to make, whether to play queen f7 and offer an endgame, or knight f7. So this actually is an interesting decision. Why don't you think about it for a moment here and try to figure out which one. Because look, black is losing, right? But chess is not just about finding, you know, good winning moves. Chess is also about trying to defend in the most stubborn way. And if you can make it difficult for your opponents, or at least offer resistance, I'm sure you've had many games where you were losing but didn't end up losing, or you were winning and then didn't end up winning. You know, things happen. So the more we can kind of make things harder for our opponent, the more chances we get in the long run.
Okay, so if we can't find, my way of thinking is that if we can't find a solid reason why knight takes is way better, then, queen takes is way better, then we do play knight takes, because obviously queen takes is simplifying. So queen takes, let's look at that first. Queen takes, white queen will take, and then probably best to take with a king. No, there it's probably, yeah, there it's probably better to take with a king because of the kind of long-term defense of b7. But after king takes, the problem is rook takes c7 with a check, and then king goes like back on G8, let's say, and you take the D4 pawn. So if you take with the knight on F7 after queen takes, you do also allow the taking of D4 and of C7 later. I mean, you can allow white to play takes on D4, then you can play C6 there. So I think that's where it's better to take with the knight. But then it just seems like white has the more active pieces and is winning the exchange. Like takes on D4, like go on the 7th file. Just that looks so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think keeping the queens on the board will be better in this position, with taking on F7 with the knight. But everything looks pretty hopeless.
Okay, good, very objective. Yeah, basically we are losing no matter what we do. But again, it's all about, let's say, just finding the best chance, and as much as you can, not making it easy for the opponent. So what you said earlier, I think, is absolutely right. Like, unless we see a very good reason to trade queens, generally, if you're down material, kind of want to keep queens on the board to keep more chances alive for yourself. So knight f7, I think, would probably be the best try. Now white can take on d4, queen takes b7, maybe even stronger. But from our point of view, we're losing no matter what. So let's go to the position where we at least have some chances of surviving or creating counterplay. And, you never know. Like, let's say something like this, I would think maybe rook d8. And let's say white continues, like rook takes c7, we go queen f6. Queen takes a7, maybe your opponent's greedy. d3, and, in a blitz game, rapid game, anything can still happen. We can get some counterplay.
Here, even, okay, no, I was thinking about maybe even sacrificing the rook.
On f7?
Yeah.
Let's take a look. So rook f7, queen takes.
Queen takes back.
Mm-hmm.
And f4.
Sure. How would you evaluate this endgame?
I think white can probably pick up the d4 pawn. It's not. It seems like it's a draw now. I don't think this way of simplifying is good.
Yeah, once we reach here, right?
Draw.
Yeah, black. I mean, let's be careful. Let's not just say draw, but black now has actually very good chances because king can come to d5, rook can come to b8 with activity, and yeah, one pawn in a rook endgame definitely can be very, very survivable. And so this is actually a typical case that can happen, even though white had extra exchange. Some players, they want to simplify the position, and they might go for something like this. I mean, it was, your suggestion as a possibility. And yeah, from black's point of view, this would be dream come true, to kind of escape into that endgame. Probably white shouldn't. I would say maybe a move like rook c8 might be the most technical to try to trade rooks and eliminate as much of black's counterplay as white can. Well, again, we're losing no matter what, so we're just trying to find the best chances. And many players here, myself included, would mess this up as white, sometimes, right? Like, I can't imagine I would win this 100% of the time against everyone. So even very strong players can mess up winning positions, which means it's always worth to fight on. Someone in the chat was like, I would resign after e5, and I think that's a big no-no, because if you have any chances left in the game, you know, reasonable chances, let's say, right? Like not some random stalemate or something. I think it's always worth fighting on and trying to, you know, psychologically stay in the battle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looking at the whole line, it's like I would play on the last position more than I would play on after e5.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, you know, an exchange is certainly um, often not the end of the world, especially if you have some hopes of counterplay, like you have your d pawn. Of course, knights are tricky, and yeah, basically just trying not to make it simple for the opponent. That's the defensive task. You probably won't save the game, you know, if your opponent plays well, but you will, let's say, 1 or 2 times out of 10, and that makes it all worth it. Okay, very good, Tali. Let me jump to another position here. You know, some of these I might have shown on stream before, so if you recognize anything, just let me know, and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, I think this is good. White to play.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Um, okay, so I would be thinking about the check on c8. So after that, king d7, and you can't take the other rook is the problem. And I was actually thinking about the check and then king e7, where you might want to play queen c7, takes with check, and then you take the b7 pawn. But of course, king d7 just looks really good there. You also have like something like rook a1,
Mm-hmm.
where I think I like that position because you play rook a1. Obviously, probably the only move, yeah, I think the only move is taking your queen there. So you take the black queen on a5,
Mm-hmm.
and then the bishop has to move, and you play rook c8. Is that, do you have to give up your bishop there? I think you do. What would be like better defense? I think taking the queen pretty much is forced. Keeping the queen on the board, I think, is a good way to go, but I think just rook a1. Is there something there? There's no queen there doing anything. You lose the the bishop there. And if bishop takes again, you take the queen on a5, and there is nothing preventing rook c8 from being played without giving up the bishop. So I think I would play that.
Okay, so let's check this one. So I'll give you a trick to use. When you calculate rook a1, bishop c2, rook takes a5, right? And then your question there is basically like, well, what does black do? Bishop is hanging, rook c8 is hanging, right? So the idea is put yourself in black's shoes, pretend you're playing black in that position. You'll have to visualize and try to find a defense.
Oh, there is one problem. There is knight c6 there.
Knight c6, bravo, bravo. And of course, if well, let's say you were playing black in this position, and your opponent played here, and you took, unless you resigned, if you just kept looking, you would eventually find this move. Because it's like your survival instinct. It's like you're about to lose, so you're just gonna look for anything you can find. And yeah, unfortunately for white, I mean, it looks like you have some initiative, but black is kind of saving this one. Now, you found this all on your own. I mean, I told you have a move there, right? But I didn't say what move to look for. I didn't give you a hint like counterattack, anything like that. That was still your brain finding the move. So this is more of like it's almost like a psychological thing, right? Sometimes we have to like push ourselves to really exhaust the line, and it often takes this kind of push of like, okay, I have to find a move there. And then if you really don't find anything, then you have to trust your calculation that indeed you're winning. But
I think I see something here.
You're very capable. Yeah.
Bishop b5 check.
Mm-hmm.
And if bishop takes rook c8, and then queen takes, I think rook c8, and either black plays king e7 or king d7. You play queen c7 on both occasions. And okay, the problem with that is knight d7.
Mm-hmm.
So the line I'm looking at is bishop b5, queen takes, rook c8, king e7, queen c7, and knight d7. That looks like saving the game. Oh, that's... Still think there is something with bishop b5, but...
Okay, good. Your instincts say bishop b5 feels right because it's like messing with black's coordination. So I want you to just recheck that line and try to make it work. So bishop b5, queen b5, rook c8, king e7, queen c7, knight d7.
Knight d7, queen takes b7. Could be. Wait, no, that's not. Queen is on b5, so that's not something. Okay, after knight d7. Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding a move there.
I'm sure you can find the move. I think the issue is that we're not fully visualizing the position. So I want you to really try to hone in on it and just be very, very mechanical. Like, okay, bishop b5, queen b5, rook c8, king e7, queen c7 check, knight d7. Really try to focus and visualize that position in your brain. And I think once you see the position clearly, the right move will be found.
Okay. Oh, I can't do it. I kind of have the position in my head.
Well, let's review. Where are all of White's pieces?
Do I say like the square?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the rook is on c8.
Mm-hmm.
The queen on c7.
Mm-hmm.
There is no bishop anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else is as it was.
The same. Good. And where are Black's pieces?
The knight is on d7.
Mm-hmm.
The king is on e7.
Mm-hmm.
The queen is on b5.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else is the same.
Everything is the same. Okay, good. You have the right position. And so let's treat that like a puzzle. What would be your candidate moves? So when you're solving a puzzle, which moves do you start with?
Okay, I think I see it now. I would probably play queen d6 checkmate.
Very good. Very good. I'm glad you found it. That's nice. That's great because this is basically we reached the limit of your visualization right there, kind of. and you push past it, which is very good for your growth. Because this happens a lot in calculation and games and puzzles. It's like you're basically just stretching as far as you can, and it's like, yeah, your brain feels like there's something there, but of course you're not, you're not fully seeing it. And if we just put that position on the board, and we put this position here, it doesn't take any calculation really to see this move. This is not calculation, right? This is just seeing, your checks, right? So my theory is that when we fully visualize a position as if it's like in front of us, like it is now, our brain sees all the checks automatically, right? And you're at the level where if you have some kind of simple mate in one, and again, the position is in front of you, not in your visualization. When the position's in front of you, you have a simple mate in one, your brain will see it almost automatically. You don't even have to look for it, It's like when you see words on a page, it's like you're gonna just read them. You don't even have to tell your brain to read the words, you just automatically start reading. And I think the chessboard actually works in a similar way, where we just immediately look at all the checks, and if there's some kind of obvious mate, we'll quickly find it. The problem, of course, is when we're visualizing, it's always gonna feel a little like fuzzy, like of course you have to move the pieces in your mind, and we're looking at the board where it's like all these pieces are here and kind of get in the way. So, okay, again, I didn't really give you any hints there. I mean, I definitely helped you a little bit by pushing you at the end, but my point is that this is something you can learn to do. You can learn to really like focus and zoom in on a position and make it work, right? If you think there's something there, like you can really just push yourself and keep pushing and just try to visualize. And if it's not clear, try to redo the moves and visualize clearer. And a lot of times you'll find something on the second or third try that you didn't see on the first try, So I think you're very, very capable of calculating this, but we have to kind of learn how to like push ourselves, to really see the lines. Let's look at some of the other variations here. So if bishop b5, let's say, actually I won't do it. So bishop e5, let's say queen takes, rook c8 check, king e7, queen c7 check. Other than knight d7, does black have anything else there?
Well, I was thinking queen d7.
Queen d7, okay.
So there. Well, there might be the check on c5, which is, well, that is also made after.
Very good.
D6.
Exactly. Again, mate. That one's even like one move longer. You have to visualize, but yeah, absolutely right. Okay, so let's see. Anything else we didn't calculate after queen takes b5?
Okay, so after queen takes b5, rook c8 check. There is e7 on d7, and e7 is way better because d7 is a mate. Yep, d7 is a mate. And after that, there's only two moves to block, and it's knight d7 and queen d7, which we both looked at.
Okay, cool. So that line is done. Okay, and so on bishop b5, how about bishop takes?
Bishop b5, bishop takes, rook c8, king moves. If on d7 you mate, oh, no, it's not mate, sorry. The queen is on a5. So I think you just take the rook.
Okay.
And win the exchange.
So we're saying bishop e5, bishop takes b5, rook c8. We'll start with king d7, rook takes rook. And now question for you, how do you know when it's time to end the calculation and evaluate?
Well, I mean, I would say a position where you take on h8 and you think no one has like too big of threats is one. But the problem with the position is that black, of course, has the threat of taking on f1.
Good.
So that's the problem.
So that's exactly right. Yeah, generally we want to keep calculating as long as either side has forcing moves still left in the position, because we're not fully sure if it's all going to work out. Or sometimes you have to stop calculating because it's simply getting too complicated, and you just have to recognize that you're not going to be able to figure everything out. And chess is, of course, a practical game. You have a clock. You can't spend all your time. And at some point, you just have to trust your intuition and go for it, or don't go for it. But let's try to work out the line all the way until the end. So let's say bishop takes f1. What would be the best continuation there for white?
Kings of d7 just takes back. I mean, is there anything else other than queen c8? I think queen c8 there. So after that, king e7, only move, and rook e8 mate. Yes.
Yeah, very good. Okay, and then let's just check the last line, which is bishop b5, bishop takes b5, rook c8 check, king e7.
Queen c5.
Okay.
So queen c5, king d7. And then I think take the rook there. Allow yourself to maybe play the same thing with queen c8 as in the other line, and also black cannot take your rook at that point. So
wait, why can't black take the rook?
Because I mean, you can take the queen, but also there is mate.
Also, so you're saying queen on a5 is hanging?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, but mate is even better than that. Okay, very good, very good. So, yeah, bishop b5 is a fantastic resource. Of course, it comes from the first line that you calculated, which it was very good that you started with rook c8 check, because this is by far the most obvious and direct move, and at first glance it looks like, usually this move just wins, right? This kind of thing. But after king d7, our queen is hanging and our rook is hanging, and things are not so easy. And if bishop b5 here, then black to play.
Here. Oh, it's what we said. Knight c6.
Again, black has, yeah, knight c6. So this one doesn't really work for white because queen is still hanging and now rook is hanging as well. But most players, they just kind of stop here. They see king d7 and they're like, uh-oh, not clear, let's go back, which is a good instinct. And then you look for more candidate moves. And okay, you noticed rook a1, which I think makes a lot of sense. We analyzed that one, you realized it's not working. And then you spotted bishop b5, which, yeah, at first glance, it's very easy to overlook this move because the square, I mean, it's just defended multiple times. So our brain kind of instinctively doesn't really believe it can work at first glance, I think. But once you start analyzing just even a little bit, you realize, oh, there's some potential here, and then the rest, again, your brain takes over and just the concrete calculation just starts from there. And then, okay, as far as the calculation goes, I think you did a great job. You found all the right lines. This one and this one, and then if queen d7, then queen switches back to c5. So this is another very accurate move. Of course, you can, no, I'm sorry, you can't take here, knight d7, and both rooks are defended. So queen c5, very important move to find. And then on bishop takes b5, yeah, you correctly spotted this one and this one with this devastating threat, meaning that black does not have time to retake the rook because of this and either piece to e8. Okay, very good, Tali, very good. So this is, yeah, I mean, I feel like your calculation definitely is at a really good level. And as you can see, a lot of times, you know, you might not figure it out at first glance, but if you just kind of recheck things and just try to see a little bit further each time, or try to see the position a little bit clearer, your brain will come up with new ideas if you're kind of like pushing yourself. I mean, it's difficult, you know, your brain can even will feel tired at some point, you know, like you've been thinking quite hard. But that, of course, that's the process to becoming a really strong calculator and being very, very concrete. Let me give you one more. And I'll set this up on the board. Okay, I think this is it. Yeah, it is white to play.
Okay, so at first glance, I am looking at taking on f7 with the bishop. But then rook takes and there isn't a good continuation. The big problem here is that the queen is being attacked. And well, you have to be very forcing to do anything, except if we can find some queen move, which, I mean, like something like queen c3, trying to bring it around, but it's way too slow, so I don't think it's a queen move. You could maybe sacrifice the queen, but like takes on h7. And is there really anything? Don't think so. So there. Actually, I'm rethinking. I don't think you have anything. If bishop takes f7 doesn't work, and there is no other check that would make black not be able to take the queen, and we've established that the queen probably can't move. If we're trying to get some immediate small advantage, the queen definitely can't move because there isn't a good square. Everything is way too slow to do anything. So there is a line that you're doing good in after the sacrifice. So let me just quickly think this. I don't think it's the right move, but I do have to look at it. And if it works, it works. So queen takes g6. You can't take with the f pawn, so you take with the h pawn. And I'm thinking bishop takes f7. Rook takes f7, of course, and then I'm thinking rook h8 check, king takes, knight takes rook, and you're threatening the queen, so you win that back. And I believe you're up a pawn there with some very good prospects and definitely way more active pieces than black. So I think I'm done.
Cool. Do you want to go for this queen takes g6?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, very nice. So, yeah, that was interesting. At first you were like, I don't see anything. But then you realize, like, if you just move your queen somewhere, I mean, yeah, it doesn't feel like such a concrete solution, right? So you kind of thought, like, I must be missing something. There must be something more forcing. Was that the thought process?
Yeah, I wanted to go for like a faster move that attacks black.
Yeah. So yeah, this line basically very, very forcing and very nice, and I would say also, extremely easy to miss if we're not in like a very concrete mindset, especially in a game. Again, there's no hints. There's no like nothing telling you, you have a tactic here or you have a good move. You just have to play on your own and decide for yourself. So many players, unless they see, something really obvious or like they see some big check or some big idea, they often don't quite really try to look too deeply, at these forcing moves. They just, nothing really jumps out to them at first. And so the only thing they're thinking about is just, where do I put the queen, right? That's just, they see the bishop went to g6, they're like, okay, where should I put the queen? D pawn is hanging, so maybe queen d2, maybe queen c3, maybe I should go active queen b3, and that's kind of the decision from there, and they just try to figure it out. But you will get lots of these little, chances, and a lot of times you'll have to see them in your visualization, and it's very important that you kind of you learn to give yourself this hint. You just have to kind of ask the question, if there was some kind of win here, or if there was some kind of tactic, what would it be? And most players, they develop this kind of search, like after the opponent makes a move, they really scan to see like, are there any tactics? Because there is some potential, right? I mean, bishop is lined up against the king, queen is lined up against h7, knight is active, rook is active. white has some active pieces. It's not insane to believe that white could have something quite forcing here. But it's all up to you ultimately to kind of like, let's say point the flashlight in the right direction. So your flashlight is like your calculation power, but you're still the one that has to point it at the right spot and look for things, look for ideas. And then once you notice that like, oh, something looks tempting, then you can really zoom in and focus in on it and try to see if you can fully calculate it out. So for you, I would say your calculation is really at a nice level, because I mean, as soon as you saw the idea, you kind of like, you quickly just kind of went through it and you spotted this trick, which I imagine you've kind of seen this type of tactic before. Right, so this is of course a big part of it, is just solving a lot of puzzles to build up your patterns, right? The more of these patterns you've seen, the easier they'll be to find in your calculation. Of course, many puzzles, this is the starting position and it's like white to play, and it's pretty easy, okay, it's like you're down a queen, only so many things white can do, you'll find this move. But it's another thing to do it in your calculation, and especially when you don't know that you actually have a solution. Now, this is of course training, you're a smart kid, you're aware there's going to be something to find, but in a game, the harder part becomes to kind of like give yourself this push, give yourself these hints that like, oh, maybe I have something here, let's really try to be concrete and focus in. And then of course you will find all kinds of stuff, and you can catch, I mean, I'm a strong player, but I'm very capable of blundering, queen takes g6 from black's point of view, and many strong players will blunder stuff and give you chances to catch them. And so again, psychologically, you have to be ready to take the plunge and beat them, because the psychology really plays a factor. Like when you're playing a higher rated player, you might not feel it, but deep down you kind of think like, oh, they're not going to give me any chances, they're just going to slowly crush me, none of the tactics are going to work. But that's simply not true. They will give you chances, you will have opportunities, and especially if they underestimate you, they might not be as careful as they would against a fellow titled player. So you will absolutely have some chances to score some upsets. So really good work today. I think we'll end it there. My advice for you is going to be very, very simple. Continue working on your calculation. I don't know if you have any books or such, but books are often great for like working through these combinations. If not, a really good tool is Puzzle Rush Survival, where you have kind of unlimited time to figure out the problem. Because when you start playing over the board, you're going to have plenty of time to calculate, and it's not so much about being able to find tactics quickly when it comes to the board. It's more about being able to be thorough, with your calculation and being accurate, right? You can take as much time as you want in a game, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes. But the important thing is being able to spot lines and being able to calculate them precisely and to the end. So this is what I would encourage you to work on more, because of course this is a very important skill in chess. And of course there are many other things to work on, strategy, endgames, and hopefully you have some books or you're watching videos and you're picking up ideas here as well. And the next thing would be, I would suggest for you, is actually maybe trying to play some games of slightly longer time control. Like if you can get some games that are like G30, you can play against your friends, or G25, that'll give you time during the game to actually be able to calculate some stuff and really be concrete. Because even though 10-0, I mean, it's longer than, the average player, what they play, it generally still is going to start to feel pretty fast. Where it's like out of the opening, you're already down to like 8-7 minutes. Then you make one or two tough decisions in the middle of the game, and then you're just playing a blitz game at that point. And it's very hard to calculate accurately when you don't have a lot of time. So I definitely encourage you to try to maybe get some friends, get some training games going. Of course, There's the Discord where you can find training partners and games as well. And try to play maybe, I would say, like 1 or 2 serious games per week, like G30, G25. Analyze them very carefully, and then the rest, you can play rapid games, blitz, bullets, whatever you'd like. Make sense? Any questions?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Cool. Well, thanks, Tali. Again, great job today. I look forward to hopefully working with you again. You'll have to get back to betting.
Oh, yes. You better not lose those games.
Yeah, I'll do my best. I'm gonna take a quick break here, guys, and then I'm actually gonna be doing another lesson with Seth coming up. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I'll be back in a few minutes.